This is my design video presentation by Mía M. So first off, the name of my project is M-Ads 2020 based on my project idea and the year it is. For this project, we use the design cycle, which is composed by 4 different criteria. Criteria A, B, C, and D. Criteria A focuses on the idea of defining a problem. This is also the base for your research. Criteria B focuses on developing ideas for your designated project. Criteria C is all about creating your solution for your problem. This is where you will create your prototype. And finally, the criteria D focuses on evaluating your process from the project and your final design. So first, let's start with criteria A. As I said before, this focuses on the idea of a problem. So for my problem that I focus on for my project is the pollution on the streets and waste of resources as a factor of creating billboards on streets. So what was ideal was to first concentrate in the problem, but if we had an idea for the solution, we could state it and start looking for different inspirations for your project's prototype. So this is how I came up with the idea of creating online ads to be able to stop using billboards. Since online advertisement is way more effective and we don't have to waste resources. Then I started to look at other ways for a solution that may be applied, but I didn't like it as much as the idea of online advertising. In here, I included things like create a limitation to the human consumption of resources, but I thought this method would be a little problematic. Another solution was to encourage the use of reusable resources for the ads, but not many people were going to follow this, so I wasn't going to be effective at all. After seeing these possible solutions, I still felt most inspired by the idea of online advertising. For my criteria B, I mostly focused on the materials I was going to be needing to create my project. Most of the materials I used were technological devices since my project is an online account, so I wouldn't need any craft materials. Some materials I included were a phone, social media apps, and editing apps since they were most logical towards my project. After listing my materials, I decided to look at possible ways I could create my ads. This included videos, podcasts, and posters on social media. After listing this, I decided that posters on social media would be the most effective. Then there is criteria C. So for this part, I focused and listed some steps I needed to follow to be successful. Steps all the way from my first draft to my final version that I actually posted on social media. Finally, I ended my papers with the criteria D1. So for this part of the project, I created more like an evaluation process for myself, where I created a survey where people could give me feedback and their perspective on my project. Also, I included all the changes I made to my design. Some of these changes included the text and the background for my design to look more neat and more eye-catching towards people. Finally, I needed to evaluate myself in the completion of all the requirements and if I achieved all my expectations, which I did pretty well on. The final part of this project was to get our feedback from the criteria, and Mr. Hall gave us an opportunity to make corrections. So for these corrections, I decided to focus on criteria A since I really understood after the feedback Mr. Hall's expectations. Some changes I made were to amplify the describing of the problem and the explanation of the solution. I also added a lot of more information, for example, some research I made on online ads into strand 1 that I added before on strand 2. I created an MLA of all my research. This wasn't a correction but more a requirement. I added some examples of what I could grab as an inspiration for my prototype and then explained one better. Lastly, I added more information to strand 4 based on questions Mr. Hall had, and I explained them better. Overall, I think I put a lot of effort into this project and learned from my mistakes and the feedback I got. Thank you.